I'm still screwing with that phaser. So you can get real epic with this box. Listen, let me break this down real quick. I told you these banknotes, guys, a different type of currency. Okay? Look, I'm gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna show you some stuff. We're gonna get into this. Phase engine, first thing I developed. Okay? I've been doing this stuff for almost a year. I know people who've been following me on YouTube and subscribing and Yatum Shata. Guys are aware I had the virus. I exposed how fraudulent I thought that synthesizer was. You know, I think it's an overpriced toy in Yata. You know, it's like 2K. I needed to get my money back. I think that's just stupid. This thing right here is a $500 box. I've been had this for a while. I just dug into it something heavy. Now, when I got into the software, I've only been doing this stuff. It's only been like almost a year full swing and circle. You see what I'm saying? That's how I've been developing this stuff. The first thing I did was this phase oscillator engine. The caduceus, 0 to 127. You know how the cycles flip. Now, I've already tried to get into this stuff, but like this box does literally more than the virus, even with less processing and ba. Does hyper, does everything. You know what I'm saying? www.tradercrow.com. I have all these installments for the low, for the cheap. Let's explain how things are working here. Let's get into some technicalities. This box is a badass. It's emulator. You want to emulate TB03's acid. You want this and that. Oh man, dude, this box will do it all right here. You want physical modeling? I determined that this box can do it, even though the instruction manual says that it can't. I determined that this box can do massive amounts of stuff. It's a toolbox. All right, so like, let's discuss like, you know, sound to a degree with no pun intended. All right, when you look at the degrees of the LFO, you know, you have to look at the angles. All right, and then you have to think about, well, where are you at on the scale of pulse width modulation when you set the LFO up to that? You know, and then there's laws of inversion. You have to practice this stuff. And the way the software works with this box, you know, it expands on its normal factory stuff to a very, very high degree. And I don't think anyone really understands that. But you turn the oscillator, this is 8 foot, okay? I know it says it's 8 foot. But in reality, because I turned it down to 0, it's actually 32, single cycle. When you turn this down to here by mathematic precision, and I did the math, that's 512. With the help of bandpass filters, like you're tuning into a radio, you tune directly into the frequency range response of what you need. In this case, it would be 65 because we're on an augmented, diminished. So, the reason why all this stuff is written to octave is because that way it fits to octave. Because everything starts out to octave. It doesn't start, when you start a knit patch, the saw isn't +6 or +4 or 5 or whatever the hell, it's at 0. Okay, so why would I write anything off that? Because then you're going to have to do extra math and do more time calculating what the fuck you're actually doing instead of making music. That is retarded. You want to play with this box to create, screw around, and make music. You screw around, you get crazy ethereal sounds like this. Right? Move the degree around. Around with phasing. Now I developed quite a few engines for this thing, like 16 or 17. Some I haven't gotten to yet because, you know, I've dibbled and dabbled in this and that, but like in elements and materials, but it's a lot. And you have to, it's just crazy. And I showed you guys stuff on previous tapes, like the hotel, which I haven't installed here today, you know, and other stuff. But right now I have to try to break this stuff down to you guys. about combining engines, you know, the LFOs, the degrees of sound and stuff, because, like I said, with no pun intended, you have to understand sound to a degree. If you look at the wheels 0 through 127, and you see the grain, we see this spinning, we'll get right into this. You know, I have the random grain engine on there too. Everything's for the cheapie. When I say it's for the cheap, I don't mean it like this is cheaply made. This is not cheaply made, man. This box is not cheaply made. This technology, the way this box behaves is ingenious. We just unlocked Pandora though. Okay, there's no turning back now. Just face it, this box has more power than what you ever knew. I know it's like, oh, it's hurtful. It's like, oh man, what the hell? It's like, but you just have to understand it. Once you put all this stuff together and you sit down and you get a better understanding of how this all goes together, then there's no way to fuck it up. You can't. All you can do is explore and screw around. Now, showing how combining engines, what I should have done is made a peakier sine wave, but this would probably work better with this bipolar resonator, because see, you had the red and the blue, and it would spike them out as it goes. Now you see up top, I kind of screwed up there, but that's good to let you know the oscillators, the difference between, and then what they would look like in conjunction. So with the help of moving LFOs, you know, stuff like this and that, you know, you can move stuff around. Now in the case of grain particle, because this box does a lot of what quantum does, also on a smaller scale. I told you, it's emulator. You zoom in on the particles as you go down, because I told you that in the program, this stuff that I'm making, some stuff is done in single cycles and some's not. But you're thinking like, oh, single cycle glued together. Like you're thinking like, oh, he's doing it like this. It's no different than what they did. No. See these waveforms, this is the factory. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, all glued up in 64 things, okay? What I did is I made portraits. That's a bunch of jumbled stuff. Now those are mathematically proportionate waveforms. However, you have to understand the peaks and how many there are for harmonics to actually what the tune of them are. And see, we can determine this by tuning it ourselves with the programs. And with random grain and the bacteria grain on the back, you zoom into the single cycle organisms or the bricks. For mosaic, as you zoom out, it gets smaller and smaller. So let's move some grain. Random grain. Now, for random grain and phase, you can kind of work this out the same way, because see, you see the tiers with the pulse width from single to scattered, but grain is all done in single, because if I made it any longer than that, you wouldn't be able to determine what it is. Some things are made in singles because they're portraits, such as this. Liquid metal, prism, chromium, right? Particles are the same way. So let's peek out some stuff, and let's move some grains around as well first. I'm gonna kill this tape. Add into these engines. Very simply done. I told you, you want more volume, use poor man's drive. Today I did some cheap shit. Real quick tip, take the filter envelope, I turned the decay to 0, and I went like that to the envelope amount, because I didn't feel like setting up an envelope and going here to mod source and doing all the extra shit. Set the FM source up to an LFO or an envelope in Yata. We have it in serial killer mode. Filter 2 is at 71 on cutoff, resonance 60. FM oscillator 1, reflection, 127 crank. Tune into specifics with bandpass because it's like a radio. I have already explained this before. You're tuning in. So from scatter to dense, we move. And you hear it. Plug in FM. Now, if you wanted to reverse that, go 180. Turn this up to 112 and 96, excuse me. On pause with. Yeah. Now, let's play with a resonator. We'll throw that on. Throw an extendo up on it. Now we'll throw the regular one up on it. Alright, and then we'll throw the phase on. Now, we're going to have to turn it back to this because that's where we're at. I'd want to say that sounded close to the quantum, if I might say so myself. However, I'm not even messing with particles. I like that particle collider video. Those sounds were sounding really crazy. I definitely like the quantum. I definitely think the Blofeld can do a lot of what it can do. And I'm definitely displaying that right shot. So like I said, www.tradercrow.com, or you can catch it on eBay. I might have to do some price adjustments in between because I did some price adjustments to make it for the Lolo. You get a plethora. A lot of things are 100 plus in the kit. If you haven't gotten the free holiday kits, I suggest that you do. I think there's a couple add-ons to that too because I was working on it. I made shrapnel metal particles that would be breaking down the same way as these particles do on these graphs here, but I just did it in pieces of I guess atoms or something like that. I don't know. There's another connecting dots for you. talk about connecting dots on my other transient information videos and shit. Look at these peaks around them. Because remember I told you, we can do exactly what the quantum does. We can move the peaks around, how many, where they're at, how high, how low, yeah, okay, all that bullshit. Yes, we can do that. You know how you do it? You do it with the LFO by screwing around with speed. You do it by screwing around with degree, because when you screw with the degree, like I told you, 0, 45, 90, 180, okay, I said that shit. This moves around, and if you have the LFO screwing with as a setup source for the pulse width source, you know, plus minus to your sinus, and I mean that as your sinusoidal wave, you know what I'm saying, plus and a minus, compression and refraction, I know. Anyway, here's to the new year to everyone. I hope everyone's having a good one. Mine was great. I hope yours is well, or was as well, and I hope it continues to be well and great for you as well. I'll catch you guys. There's more in store. A lot of this stuff to discuss. Plenty of engines, plethora, blockbuster budget box. Install this stuff for the cheapie, and you will unlock thousands of dollars worth of value for only tens place value of dollars. I'll catch you on the flip.